very pragmatic, being very nimble, being very adaptive to deal with the changing environment.
Yeah,
May I jump in? Yeah, size matters. Not what we see in China. Last year, for example, I remember President Xi Jinping arguing that China would, for the next decade, import $25 trillion. That's openness to globalization. Welcoming FDI at the levels of that China is welcoming right now and setting up those partnerships. That's openness to globalization. So if you have one of the key players in the global economy steadying the course and being open to globalization, I think this is a very positive message to be sent out.
Thank you. So size matters, but plus the right attitude, which is openness.
To globalization.
To globalization, yeah. Yes. And that's wonderful discussion, really insightful. I enjoyed it a lot. But before wrapping up, I want to give each of our panelists a scenario. If you are invited to give one piece of advice to a specific person, what would you say? I'll start with Marcos. A multinational company wants to expand to China, but have worries in mind, including even a remote potential of sanctions and the supply chain disruptions we just mentioned. What would you say?
Well, I think the level of openness in China will continue to be steady or go up. And I think one should have in mind two things. Yes, scale will continue to be extremely relevant, but the sophistication, and this is something our colleagues here of the panel have alluded to, the sophistication of the Chinese domestic market is going to be a constant over the next couple of years. More and more value addition, more and more sophisticated industrial and financial products will be the way to go when you are thinking about China.
Yeah, scale and sophistication. And then move on to John. Let's say, I'm sure you asked that many times. If a US investor come to you, and what should look for the next opportunity in China, what do you think he should bear in mind, he or she should bear in mind?
Well, I think it's the same thing I would tell the investor, whether they're investing in China, the United States, or anywhere in the world. Look at the fundamentals. Look at the fundamentals of the company, the management team, the strategy, but also look at the regulatory landscape as well, and make sure you have done your diligence before allocating capital that you've been entrusted to help grow.
So fundamentals and your own due diligence. And Jonathan, and we talk about tech a lot. Now, a lot of Chinese tech companies are going abroad. So what would you advise a Chinese tech company owner looking to building a global footprint?
Sure. I think it's important to localize teams. So whatever country you come into, have local teams with local leadership there that fits in well and can communicate well on the ground to build the operation. I also think China offers, the world's very interested in that. We keep talking about this 1.4 billion consumers. So I think what you can also offer partners around the world is be a bridge, a trusted bridge back into China also. So I think focus on bringing something to the table, which is really acting as that bridge that can help partners get entry points into the China market. And then I'd also say trust is very important. I mean, you have to get trust, you got to give trust. So I think there's got to be a focus on that.
So bridge and trust.
Yep.
And Professor Juning, there are 11 million Chinese graduates hitting the job market this year, and largest in history. Some of them are your students. So what would be your piece of advice to a young Chinese graduate looking for a job?
Well, I think they should listen to this panel about the exchange of ideas. And I think they should, hopefully, I think that they should remain, as we discussed in this session, remain positive for the longer term and be prepared for the shorter term.
Be prepared and remain positive. Ying, you have the last word. What would you say to a young Chinese woman, just like you, wants to start her own company?
So I'm a mother of 3, and my kids need a lot of my time, and I feel very lucky with 2 things. One is that you really need great partners and a great team, that you can rely on, because there are times that you're just not available. And secondly, that you need to find something that you feel your kids in the future generation can also benefit. So that keeps the passion going. And I'm very motivated to eliminate as many diseases as possible with our technology.
Thank you, Ying. And with that little personal touch, we have to wrap up our discussion today. Thank you very much for participating. And this is a special year. One thing we need to mention is we commemorated the 5th anniversary of the Nixon visit to China. It's worth remembering that the collaborative advantage we had and we can unleash moving forward. Thank you for joining this year's Taixing debate, and I'll see you next year.
Thank you.